This is Undaunted Pursuit Podcast.
You know who made it?
Up is where we're going, and we want you to come with us. Hey guys, and welcome back to Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. We're glad you joined us here this week. We have such a treat for you this week, and we're just excited. I'm trying to refrain from telling y'all too much, but this, I would have to say, is the first time in Undaunted Pursuit Podcast history that we actually have a big name. The guest we have on tonight is kind of famous, and I'm excited to get in with you on this, and Marshall will be here as well. So sit back and relax. Let's get into this, and let's introduce Mr. Lance Howell. And that's not his only name, so let's dig in. Well, because I don't know, Marshall, is a fan, and now I'm a fan, but
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm honored, so I appreciate it.
Marshall, why don't you tell him what got you to wanting him on?
Well, I was I was scrolling through social media. I don't know if I was on Instagram or Facebook, and one of your videos popped up, and it was just one after another, and I was rolling. I was laughing so hard, and I told my wife, I said, "Hey, come here, come check this out. This guy's hilarious." And we both just started laughing, and we just kind of fell in love with your comedy and your videos. And so we're like, hey, this is great. And I thought, oftentimes when you reach out to people on social media, whether it's influencers or big stars or whoever, it's very rarely do people respond to you, especially in a message like that and like in a comment. And so I was like, I'm going to give it a shot, reach out to the guy. And so I did, and you responded, and I was excited. I called Aaron the next day and told him about it. Or maybe it was the same day. And I thought, hey, Dad Dork wants to come on and be a part of the podcast. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. And so that's kind of just watching your videos, got me interested and curious. So here we are.
Well, I'm neither one of those, neither an influencer or a star, but
oh, come on.
no, seriously, I'm just some guy that kind of fell into this almost accidentally for the most part, and I'm having fun with it. But I'm really seriously just a regular guy. But I appreciate the kind words, and I always like to hear that people find it funny, because that's the whole reason why I do it is just to bring joy and laughter, and just a little bit of giggles and smiles in a really, really jacked up world. So
yeah,
heck yeah. Exactly. Well, so okay, let me address the listeners, guys. We're back. And that voice you're hearing is probably our biggest celebrity that we've ever had on. He's shaking his head too. on Undaunted Pursuit. And hey, Mr. Lance, I tell you, this is a pretty laid back podcast. I've watched some of the other podcasts you're on. We have absolutely no structure to this thing. So
that'll work, because
whatever you want to do, buddy.
Yeah, this is literally only the third one I've been on here, so I was about to ask you guys for a little bit of grace, because I'm not on podcasts hardly ever. So
no, heck, we don't have a bit of structure to it. It is what it is. It's nice, and we love what we do, and we want to show people that. And from your videos, we've seen that you love what you do. So Mr. Lance Howell is with us tonight, and he's better known as Dad Dork. And you've probably seen his videos on there, and we are excited to have you. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, it's my honor. Yeah, not a problem at all. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing
great. Are you enjoying the heat?
I used to when I was younger. I don't know how old you guys are. I just hit the big 50 this past year, and it seems like as I've gotten older, the more cranky the heat makes me. It used to not bother me at all, but now I'm like, God, we need to get to like the mountains or something, someplace cooler. But it's Oklahoma. I don't know where you guys are located, but here in Oklahoma, this is just the norm as far as summer, So
Yep, yep. Well, I'm in Arkansas now, which we just moved here about 7 months ago, 8 months ago from Idaho.
Okay. Okay. A little bit of a climate change for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
When I
Yep.
found out that you were in Oklahoma, I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh man, I could have stopped. We could have done this in person."
Yeah. Yeah. It's not too far. I mean,
I'm down here in Texas. I'm actually in Wichita Falls or near Wichita Falls, Texas. So I'm a stone's throw away from you. I'm
absolutely.
about an
I've
hour
been to
away from
Wichita
Lawton.
Falls. Yeah. Yeah. I go to Actually, I was just in Lawton today. It's part of my sales territory, and I've been to
Okay.
Wichita Falls, for work, and so I'm very familiar with. So you
Gotcha.
feel we all feel each other's pain in regards to the summer. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 So you mean to tell me that so that kind of answers one of the questions tonight was that you're not just out stepping all day.
Oh
You-
no, no, no. That's the dad dork stuff is just for fun, and I don't want to call it a hobby because it's really progressed in more of a ministry as far as I'm concerned. But I don't profit off of it. I don't necessarily want to
Mhm.
unless it just makes complete sense, and I feel like the Lord is wanting me to take a gift or anything like that. But that's not my goal. So no, my full time job is I'm in outside sales, and I work for one of the leading packaged concrete companies
Oh, sweet.
in the country, and so I sell our product to box stores and lumber
Yeah.
yards and so on and so forth. So yeah, real exciting stuff. Yeah.
Well, they've heard our listeners have heard us ramble on about how our job. I drive a truck, so I drive a
Okay.
propane truck. So
Gotcha.
we don't do this full time either. But
No.
there was something I was thinking about when you said that. That's all the more reason why we have you on here. Is you had mentioned that it's kind of your ministry. And that's what our goal on this podcast is, to show people sharing Jesus is fun.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I did not realize initially, but it's funny how, when you look back when God's working, like, oh, that's why, because it
Hmm.
really just happened as, as an accident, and then it just kind of progressed, and I'm still shocked with the amount of people that seem to still have interest in it. So,
That's awesome.
Well, it's good, and we're going to get into it. Marshall, I'll let you kind of, if you have any questions. I wrote down a few things. I know I didn't send it to you, but you've answered some of them already on some of the, judging by some of the other podcasts I've listened to. I do my homework. I try and at least do my homework when we ask folks to be on the podcast.
sure.
But
Yeah, no. So last night, actually, I was talking to my wife. So recently, my wife's been going through the past year. She'd been going through a lot of loss and stuff, and so just been dealing with a lot
Sorry.
of junk. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So last night we were talking, and we got to talking about you because the podcast was today, and she goes, does he have a YouTube channel? I was like, oh, I'm sure he's on YouTube. If he's on social media, I'm sure he is. So I looked you up, and of course you're on there. And so she goes into the living room. She's just sitting there listening to video after video, probably 10, 15 minutes, just laughing.
Mhm.
And then she gets busy cooking and doing some other stuff. And then later on that night, when she's getting ready for bed, she pulls you back up. And she told me when she left, when she went to go watch your video, she says, I just need something to give me some joy and some laughter. And so, that's something that I think probably that your videos and your comedy and your ministry, so to speak, does for people. It brings people a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. Like I said, I know it does for my wife. Is that something that you've seen or heard from people, that it's brought people happiness in times of sorrow and sadness and just whatnot?
Absolutely. And I hear that so often. That's why I have kind of started to take it more as a ministry, whereas before it was just, me being silly, and it happened organically.
Mhm.
And once the video that actually just took off did, it was so overwhelming. Like, what is going on? Like, I was to a point where I was like, I didn't want this. I didn't want it to get this big and get this much attention, because I felt obligated to initially to respond to every single comment. I just thought that's what you do, especially if somebody takes the time to say such nice things like you just said, which I get a lot of.
Mhm.
But I couldn't stop it, and then getting the comments that I did, and the direct messages, and uh, you, comments like you just described from your wife. I get them on a regular, and I take them seriously. Like
Yeah.
it was probably 6 months into it. My wife and I, Shelly, was like, you know what? This isn't about me. This is not about me. And I've got to get over the fact that maybe I, you know, eh, spent too much time replying to comments, or maybe I spent too much time editing or things like this. I was given this platform, in my opinion, to bring joy and happiness to others, and I sound like a broken record, in a world that needs it. And I get countless comments of saying, I was needing this morning. I had a rough morning. This is just what I needed. I was, I mean, even deep as comments like, I was going through a depression. I was healing through chemo. I was in an emergency room, and I really needed your message. And that's when I was like, okay, all right, thank Lord, I'll do the best I can. And when they get tired of me, I'll know, and then I'll shut it down.
Yeah.
So that is my motivation for doing it, and I will keep doing it as long as people respond to it. So.
You said you didn't really want to do it, but it seems as though oftentimes God will put stuff in our lives, and it's not necessarily what we want to do or what we think we want to do, and then it just takes off and things happen. But then through that, God blesses you, and obviously you've been blessed by this in a huge way, by people's testimonies,
among other things. Yeah,
sure, yeah,
amen, yeah. And then just a little caveat. It really took off, and I tell this story to anybody who will listen. The very first video where I ended it with "See you at church." I didn't walk up to that porch planning on saying that. Now, I had just came from church, which a lot of times I like to do them right after church, because I'm already charged. I'm re-energized. The message was great, and I'm just feeling great. And so I walked up. I did my joke and stupid little dance, and then I said, "See you at church." And then people just really resonated. The comments were like, "I love that," and some of them found it funny, but you know what? They still heard it.
Yes.
And then I realized, okay, this could be a ministry, and not to be like deceitful or anything. It could show that, okay, obviously I'm a Christian, and I'm a dork. I'm a stinking goofball. We're not all, and I grew up with that same stereotype of Christians being legalistic, being judgmental, being rigid, and it just didn't seem like a place for me. So I didn't grow up in the church. Sure. And if I can portray normalcy, non-judgmental, fun, silly, but also, be a follower of Christ. If I can just plant that seed where they're like, God, that idiot's in church, maybe I'll give it another shot, So, and so that it's man, when it's from the beginning all the way to all these different little phases, it's been pretty fun and pretty impactful for me. I mean, it's helped me as well in my faith journey also.
Yeah, so. That's awesome.
That's awesome. I told Marshall, I was talking to Marshall earlier today. I said, I'm going to coin a phrase that maybe we'll see if it takes off. But he introduced me to you. And so I started watching it, and I've loved your videos. And so now I'm a new Dad Dorkian. Now your fan base. Dad Dorkian.
Yeah. I love it, especially because the name itself, Dorkian, is kind of dorky. So right. I love it. I think there's more dad dorks out in the world than we care to admit. I mean, let's face it. When you're a dad and you're raising kids, it's just inevitable. You just do things where your kids are just cracking up, and you're not even trying to be funny sometimes.
Right.
So that's. And our job also is to embarrass them as they get through certain stages of their life. So,
Yeah. I've got 5 of them I can do that with.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You've got quite the audience.
Right. Already. But I was wondering, because I got to thinking, I was like, man, obviously Dad Dork is your dad. I was like, man, how does that guy have so much energy to go up to that Ring doorbell all the time in the same way? Not the same way, but watching you on the ladders cracks me up. It's like, my goodness, that guy, he's got a ton of energy. How do you find that much energy? Church.
Well, I get that all the time, and if you listen to, I'd say, I don't know, 40 or 50% of the people, they claim to already know it has to be some type of drugs. It has to be, some illegal drugs, or I get accused of being on cocaine all the time, but it couldn't be further from the truth. I do like my coffee, guys. I really do, and I
Yes.
probably drink too much in the morning. And I like McAllister's tea. That's my vice, the
Oh
unsweet
yeah.
tea.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's probably a little bit of that, and also just I get charged up thinking that that camera is an audience, and I could be affecting someone's day. So that I just tell people all the time, what kind of drugs you on, or I'll have some of what he's having. I'll say coffee and Jesus, coffee and
That's
Jesus, and
right.
I don't know how many
Yep.
times I've put coffee and Jesus, and I don't start with Jesus because I don't want to initially, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to put the word that they can relate to better and then end it. So there was a little bit of, I have no idea if it's effective, but there was a little bit of calculation there with my responses. But
Oh, it's
Yeah.
completely effective. Yeah.
thank you, thank you. But yeah, the ladders. There's times when I'll come in and show Shelly, because she's always my filter. I'm like, is this funny? And did I go overboard? Sometimes with the toilet humor jokes, I don't want to. I want it to be almost G-rated. I mean, really G-rated, where the
Yeah.
entire family could. So I want to make sure, is that over the top? But she'll watch me fall or fall over on the scooter, and she's like, "Will you just be careful? You have to work Monday. Bless your heart." I don't know how many times I've heard "bless your heart." Yeah, but I have a blast, and I think people enjoy it. So
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
I love it.
thank you.
And so you
Hmm?
oh, I was thinking when I first started watching you,
Hmm?
are you familiar with French Stewart from Third
French
Rock
Stewart from Third Rock from the Sun. Yes,
Yes.
yeah. He
I was
was
like,
he was hilarious. He was hilarious. Yeah.
yeah, and well, you look and kind of sound like him, especially through the ring doorbell. I was like, man, why? How does he look? How does Dad Dork looks so familiar? And I got to looking it up today. And I was like, French Stewart. That's it. That's who he looked.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, yeah. He was really funny, and a funny character too. So
Yeah.
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 So one of my favorites. So you just went on a tropical vacation.
Oh.
Oh no, that was all. That was all a skit. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I tried. I had a certain amount of thrift store, I guess, costumes, if you will.
Yeah.
And so she bought me this awful tropical shirt, and I don't know. I sometimes things pop in my head that surprise even me, and I'm like, oh, how funny would it be if I said I went to a place that it was the furthest thing from a tropical, vacation as ever, and then Branson popped in my head because
Oh, okay.
Branson, Missouri. So yeah, yeah.
I didn't know if you had actually gone there, because I know when we talked initially that you were going on vacation, and I found it funny. Marshall found it funny because we are both from that area. We grew
Okay.
up in that area, and so
No,
we
don't
we
get me wrong,
caught
I
the
love
humor.
Branson. I love Branson. I mean, yeah, it's a great area, and Table Rock Lake and the Ozarks and everything like that.
Yeah.
I love it up there. Yeah, but
Oh yeah.
you just don't see many people dressed, like they're
Right.
Sure.
going to the Caribbean going to Branson. So I kind of came up with that.
I don't know.
We're
I
gonna
think we
wear
did
those-
at Silver Dollar City.
Probably so. Yeah, we both used to work out there when we were younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually from Texas, but I spent a good portion of 8 years up there. Pretty much my whole high school career up there. And then Aaron.
Okay. What part of
Aaron's-
Texas? What part of Texas?
I was born in Bedford, Texas, in the HEB Metroplex area.
Okay.
Like near between Fort Worth and Arlington, kind of squished in between there.
Sure.
And
Mhm.
and then spent 8 years up near Branson, Missouri, and then came back to Fort Worth. And I've been kind of hopping around from Weatherford and Wichita Falls, just kind of going all over the place. But
Sure.
true Texan, But
Nothing wrong with that. I won't hold it against you.
Yeah. So who does all your jokes? How do you find all these things?
Okay, I have no problem admitting that I don't make up any of my jokes. I regurgitate them just like, I love following other, creators and content people that do dad jokes.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite ones, and I actually bought their book, was Dad Says Jokes. And I think they have the biggest following. And it's usually just like a white with black text, dad joke. And
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of them I get from them, but there's also the guys that do oh, I can't remember their name, but they do the dock talk, where they're just sitting there with a coffee mug and they're just kind of
Yes, yes,
telling
yes.
I've
telling
seen
back
them.
and forth. Yeah, and I'll use some of them or whatever, and I just assume that it's. I mean, we're all dads. We're gonna. You hear a joke, you retell it, and so that's why I didn't think there was anything
Yep.
wrong with using them. But no, I don't make any of my own jokes. I like to find a joke, and then how my mind works is how can I build a silly, stupid scenario around it, um, and even the really bad ones try to make a really awful dad joke funny by
Mhm.
the shenanigans, if you will. So
So
yeah,
you
I don't
kind of
make a
bring
big deal.
your jokes to life by adding the skit to it. Essentially, is what it's kind of how
Yeah,
I see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, that essentially is what I do. Sometimes it's the shenanigans may have nothing to do with the joke, but a lot of times I like uh, to build a scenario around the joke. And then speaking of this, so
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, so I don't know the creativity part of it. I still enjoy. Yeah, because I don't want it to be stale. I always worry about, is it same old, walk up the whistle, I try to keep it as best I can, being just some regular guy. So
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was very creative. At initially watching it, I was like, "Oh man, he's already niched down so far as to doing it over a Ring doorbell." But I thought you were actually there initially, going up to different Ring doorbells and just doing something, But how did it actually all start? I mean, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but
sure.
you know,
Okay.
where did it get its start?
Okay, it was in 21, and I don't know if you've seen any of my videos with because I do include my neighbors as much as I can.
Hmm.
It is, I mean, we have a great, I mean, fantastic, I mean, blessed situation with our neighbors, and so I'm really good buddies with my buddy Tim next door, and he's one of those retired guys that has all the cool toys, like all the cool tech
Mm-hmm.
toys, and he just installed like 24 cameras around his house, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to come see my cameras." And so I'm walking up his walkway, and I see this camera right there in his front window, and I'm like, "Oh, I got to act like an
Yeah.
idiot." And so I go up to it, and I'm dancing, picking my nose, so on and so forth, and just being silly. And so when he invited me inside, I was like, "I did something on your camera." So we played it back, and we both just got a kick out of it. And so I told him, I said, "I'm going to do it again next time I'm over." So anyway, it was just really fun. So that kind of started the ball rolling, because the next week, the company Vivint came. They had a salesman come around, and I'd always wanted to get security cameras. And Tim, kind of, lit that fire underneath me, like we need to do this. Not that it's not that it's a unsafe neighborhood, but just today's time, day
Sure.
and
Yeah.
age, never
Yeah.
hurts to be safe. So he came over and he started talking about all the doorbell camera. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, because porch pirates and so on and
Hmm.
so forth.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
long story short, he installed everything. Everything was great. Had the panel up, and then there was a cool app. And so I had my new toy. So I'm seriously putting the hose up after watering the yard. Typical dad chore,
Yep.
and the whistle and it's right in front of the walkway. And so the whistle goes, camera recording, and a light bulb went on. Like, I got an audience. And so I started dancing, and I think the very first clip I did was just me singing very bad, and it was strictly just for my family. Like I have two boys. They're now 24 and 20, and their entire life my goal has been to make them laugh, and then my wife included. And so it was just for their just and they thought it was hilarious. And so
Yeah.
I put it on my personal Instagram, which is the only social media I had up until this point. I'm honestly not a huge social media guy. But I put it on my personal Instagram. It started getting, good comments and shared and everything like that. You should do this. You should do that. And then I think my friends and family got tired of it, and so somebody suggested, like, how about you start your own account with that stuff? So I think essentially, so we don't have to see it all the time, because they've seen all my silliness. And so I started it. I think the first one was TikTok.
Hmm.
My boys helped me set that up, and initially it was just TikTok. And the the video that took off from that was the one where I'm wearing the blue shirt, and the joke is, "Do trees poop?"
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen that. That one took
Yeah,
off. I've
yeah.
never seen anything like it. Like it went to like millions, and I'm like, what is going on? That's the one where I was like, I didn't want this, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
then my wife is like, okay, let's go ahead and put it on Instagram. Let's put it on Facebook, and just reach as many people as we can because it started like really becoming a really positive thing for people, you know.
Yeah.
And she started helping me manage it and everything like that. So it really just started organically, and again, it was by pure accident. I mean, in my eyes, it was an accident. In his eyes, it wasn't, you
Right.
know. So, and then it just went from there.
Dang.
Mhm.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, are you Marshall, do you have any other questions for
Not off the top of my head. No, I'm just enjoying hearing about all this stuff. No, it's exciting.
him? Are you working on anything else? Are you looking to? I know you didn't want this, but now that you have this,
Mhm.
what do you plan on doing with it?
Yeah.
It's funny you asked that because I don't. I hate to. I hate to say that I don't really know, but I'm kind of just having faith that if it needs to go beyond me just doing it for the social media platforms, like I've tried to do different variations. Like I've done a garage dad
Hmm.
joke. Uh, I've done one of just me sitting in the truck. I've done different types of me, and I've posted clips of me dancing and being silly, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they don't get the traction or the views that the doorbell jokes do. So I'm fine with that if that's what people
right.
like. You know,
Yeah.
that's what people like and still want to do. But I mean, as far as taking this anywhere further, I just kind of leave it in his hands. And if he wants me to do something bigger than this, even though it's not my intent, I'm not going to argue with him. And I've had a decent amount of opportunities to sell products. To I just don't think that's even though I know how to sell because that's my professional job, I don't
Sure.
think this particular aspect of my life was meant to profit off of it. I could be completely wrong, and maybe in 10 years I might look back and like you're kind of a dork, but and regret it. But I don't think I will. I don't think I will because I'm
Right.
blessed beyond what I deserve anyway. So I don't know. I hate to not give you an answer,
No,
but
you're good. That's a
I
good
don't.
enough answer.
Yeah, no. I could
Right
see
now I'm
you
just gonna stick to what I'm doing. Go
I
ahead.
could
I'm
see
sorry.
you going, and this is just me thinking. This is what I do. I could see
Mhm.
you doing something with someone like the Skit Guys. Have you heard of them?
The skit guys.
Oh,
No.
you haven't? Oh my goodness. So
No. No.
no,
No.
it's two guys, and they just do a lot of comedy. They travel all over the U.S. and they go to churches and stuff and
Oh
do
wow.
skits, and it's a ministry, but they're
Hmm.
hilarious. But you
Okay.
remind me a lot of them. It's two like best friends that have been doing this for years. But I could really see the them two and you doing a lot of really fun stuff together because y'all do a lot of similar stuff. Now yours is obviously through the doorbells and stuff, and theirs is it's different, but it's similar. But yeah,
Yeah.
when you get
Yeah.
a chance, look them up. I think you'll really enjoy them.
This the skit guys. Okay.
Skit
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. I love to laugh and I like to see other funny people and inspirational people. Positive people.
Oh yeah,
So yeah. Yeah. So the skit guys. Yeah. Thanks for that.
yeah.
Well, heck, hey, maybe we can brainstorm a little bit on here. I mean, you could
Sure.
start doing that with the just going to other people's doorbells and just have them. Then they do all the work for you, and you say, hey, post this,
Yeah.
post this on
I
social media.
I do actually, because getting back to it being my porch, one of the biggest things I had to, I don't want to say, push back on was I did not expect. Okay, this is just my own ignorance and me not knowing. I did not expect people to actually think that it was my neighbor's my neighbor's porch because I mean, how is this a real person?
Yeah,
And so I got lots of like, wait, that's not your neighbor's porch, and sure that's got to be his own house. And every time if I can respond, I'm like, that is my house, yeah.
Mhm.
right.
But because of that, I do have other neighbors that have the same type of systems, and I have some videos at my neighbor Wally's house, and he's got a
Hmm.
different system, and he'll just send me the clip and I'll post it. And then my neighbor Tim, even though he's got a different system, I'll do him at his house to try and I guess show people that I will do them at other, other
Yeah.
locations. Yeah, because I was sensing a little bit of like disappointment, that
Yeah.
it was your own house. I wasn't being deceitful or dishonest or anything like that.
Sure.
I just was having fun. So,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's just the natural thing. Yeah, Christian, he's another co-host on this podcast.
Yeah.
They love their cameras. They got cameras up all over their house, and I'm always doing something stupid in front of. I'll ring the doorbell, or I'll walk up, I'll knock on the door, I'll put my hand over the thing.
Sure.
There was several times his wife had these, like, I don't know what to call them. They call them something fancy name for vases, whatever those
Okay.
are out front.
Mhm.
And I would try and steal one of them all the time, just to make sure that that the camera caught me stealing one.
Trust me, there's lots of opportunities and lots of good pranks that you can do, and I've entertained a lot of those with all my neighbors, and especially my sister. I mean, she's like, "Oh gosh, here he comes."
Yeah. I just love. I think it just comes natural in all of us to want to perform in front of somebody's video camera.
Yeah, it's so easy, and I also encourage all my neighbors, come, like, it's a community doorbell. I mean, where I
Yeah.
live, come tell a joke. And I've posted, neighbor video in the earlier stages. I posted neighbor videos and nephew video, my mom and sister. I want more people having fun, but they quit because they're like, well, they don't want to see me, they want to see you. But I try and tell them, come, let's have fun. I want to hear a good joke. Leave it, let's
Yeah.
let's have fun, so.
What is that one? There's a group of guys that I watch all the time telling dad jokes out of their duck blind jokes.
Oh, those guys are great.
They are
three guys.
That's some good material. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them now. Those guys are pretty funny. So
and
earlier,
I think.
go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think what is so, like, intriguing about that is one of the last settings you would ever imagine. Just dad sitting around telling stupid jokes and giggling like little girls as a duck blind. And I think that's the intrigue of that is, like, they're just regular dads just telling dad jokes, and yeah, they're hilarious. Yeah.
Absolutely. So just so people kind of, earlier you mentioned you love coffee. I love coffee.
Yeah.
I know Aaron loves coffee. Clearly, I'm a big Black Rifle fan. I've got tons of it in my house.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So
it's great stuff.
It is. No, it's delicious. So what do you have a favorite coffee or coffee brand or something like that you really enjoy?
I like trying all different brands. Like, I travel quite a bit, and so if I see some, just some mom and pop, drive through coffee shop or whatever, I'll try some. So I'm not like a real coffee snob.
Yeah.
I'm not really into the dark roast. I'm mostly medium roast, and people ask me that, like, what brand do you use? And it's just basic Folgers Colombian. I just get the big can of it, and I make it. It's made every morning, and I fill up my Yeti, and I get after it. But I do like stopping at Black Rifle, not just because it really is quality coffee, but the mission behind their locations. I mean, I'm all about supporting that mission as well.
Sure, absolutely.
But I think the only brand that I won't is the most well-known brand that starts with an S. I think it's a little bit too strong.
Yeah. I agree.
I'll leave that at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I like those. Yeah, no kidding. I like those smaller mom and pop coffee shops a lot better than I like that other brand that you're talking about.
Yeah. They've got a chain around here that's really just flooded the market. Scooters.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Oh yeah,
that's good stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I like theirs. And it's not too expensive like the other place. Yeah.
Makes you feel like you're doing something bad here.
I just don't want to say anything negative about
the other S.
There must be, good markup in that stuff for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's what I like about what you're doing is it's clean comedy in a world that feels like they have to that you have to have dirty humor to be funny.
Agreed.
And it's short form. everybody nowadays loves this short form.
Hmm. Well, the
Yeah.
attention spans, and to be honest with you, if it was anything longer, I don't know that I had the creativity to make it.
Right.
It's just a single shot camera. I know what I'm going to do. It's for some reason it clicked, and I just keep doing variations of it. But I agree with you on the
Mhm.
comedy. And growing up, I've kind of changed my view on comedy. Growing up, I didn't attend church, but I was all about a young boy, all about the Eddie Murphys
Yep.
and the
Mhm.
Chris Rocks and just as Richard Pryor. I remember listening to my dad's old,
Oh
and it's
boy.
probably
Yeah.
way before y'all's time, but my
No,
my
I'm
dad's
familiar.
and to me, I thought you had to have some of that to be funny. But as I've uh, matured somewhat and grown in my faith, I actually respect clean comedians a lot more,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and that's why I gravitate Jim Gaffigan. Um, for the most part, Jerry Seinfeld, Brian Regan is a really clean comic that I like. Nate
Mhm.
Bargatze, we saw him live. Oh my gosh, that guy's
Really.
hilarious. Just really clean, and
Hmm.
I think that makes or actually takes more talent and creativity to be
Yes.
clean in this world and make somebody's stomach hurt from laughing so hard.
Yeah.
I just love that. Yeah.
My
So
wife and I went and
that's the only comedy. Yeah.
my wife and I went and saw Tim Hawkins this year, and absolutely loved
Yes.
him. I mean, just we were
Yeah.
laughing the entire time, and it was
He's
great. I mean,
very talented, and I get clips of his stuff sent to me nonstop
yeah,
through
Hmm.
Instagram and Facebook. Like, you need to watch this guy, and I watch every one of them because he's very talented. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
good stuff.
We hate to admit it too that we've had to go down the TikTok route.
Mhm.
We held off for the longest time, a good year and a half, Marshall,
At
Mhm.
least, yeah,
and then we finally decided to pull the trigger on it, and it's
Mhm.
like, well, hey, it works.
hmm
It does, but I would say that on that platform, that's the one that I follow people the least, and I spend the least amount of time on, just because the algorithms.
Yeah.
I don't want to see and hear a lot of that.
yeah, yeah.
I think I'm only following maybe 50 people on that platform, and all I do is post and comment and like
Yep.
and try to engage with people that are interested in my stuff. But I don't scroll. I don't spend a lot of time
Nope.
doing
Yeah.
that. I'd rather be reading, or running. So
hmm
Right. So you do. So is it safe to say that you are, like when you're doing these videos, you are an avid walker, or you said runner?
I'm a runner, and I may have to transition into walking as I get older because I've ran. I played soccer growing up and basketball, and I've always been into sports. But when I finally had to hang up my soccer cleats at age 40, which was about 10 years too late, uh, based on my skill level, I was like, I had to transition to something else to keep me active and keep me somewhat fit. And I really got into running, and I've been running ever since. But yeah, I always try to, I always look at my Fitbit and what are my steps like, and if I'm not at 10,000, then I'll go walk the dog for a long stretch or
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah,
hmm
I try to stay in shape, and 50 hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I really need to step up my game, if I want to
Yep.
be around for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, here lately I've been getting my steps in. So
hmm
good, good. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a vital part of how we should live.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But well, okay. So when we signed up for this,
Hmm?
we had already made plans, but I've got I'm gonna
Understood.
have
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to start wrapping this up so that I can get over
yeah,
there
yeah.
pretty soon. But
Understood.
we appreciate you coming on.
That was my honor.
Is there anything that where can people find you and keep up with your videos? Plug yourself a little bit there.
Oh, I mean, it's just I'm on all four platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and it's just at the Dad Dork. So
Perfect.
that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
that's
Love it.
it. Marshall, do you have anything else?
Nah, Lance, Dad Dork, thank you so much for being a part of the Undaunted Pursuit podcast. We love having you on. Thanks for responding, and thanks
Of
for
course.
being just a genuine, humble, down to earth guy. And I love that about you. You are who you are. And we're thankful that, like I said, we appreciate you being on here.
Oh, I appreciate you guys even inviting me. I was like, oh, wow, somebody wants to talk to me on a podcast. That's great. So, yeah, it was my honor. And I know I can only imagine how difficult it is to grow a podcast with how many podcasts and how saturated that world is. So I give it up to you guys. And thanks again for having me on. It was my honor.
Oh, yeah. We tickled to have you on. And you're right. It is hard. But it's the thing. It's something that we have to keep in mind. Being a Christian podcast, what is our main goal here? Is to reach people for Jesus. Mm-hmm. And Amen. So whether we reach 1 or 100,000, if 1 is good enough. If somebody hears the gospel message, that's what our goal is. So,
yeah, 99 and 1. 99 and
that's
1.
right. Mm-hmm. That's right. All right. Well, hang tight for a second, and we'll close this out. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, thank you for listening to Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. We're glad you joined us. Stay tuned for anything, for the music at the end of this episode. And you can check us out as well on all of our social medias. Of course, go follow Dad Dork on his social medias. And we encourage you, you guys will not be disappointed with that. If you feel free to message us, if you want, whatever you want to say, we'd be glad to hear from you. UndauntedPursuit@gmail.com or mail@UndauntedPursuit.com. And we will see you guys next time on Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. See you guys.
Adios.
Later, Gator. See you at church.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's hard to do what's right when all I do is wrong. It's hard to win the fight when I don't feel that strong. It's hard to help those going through hell when I can't even help myself. Tell me, where did I go wrong? I do my best to try to do better, but time's running out, I don't have forever. Chasing dreams on dead-end roads, holding on to this little bit of hope that I have left. It ain't much, but it's enough, I guess. Looking for that silver lining in the cloud, but still can't find it. Been waiting my whole life to finally get my chance. The only thing that keeps me going is the fact of knowing you're not finished with me yet. I've made a lot of wrong turns along the way. I've made some bad decisions that I can't change. Crazy how time goes so fast, running out of sand in the hourglass. And every day I live is one day closer to the grave. I do my best to try to do better. Time's running out to get it all together. Chasing dreams on dead-end roads, holding on to this little bit of hope that I have left. It ain't much, but it's enough, I guess. Looking for that silver lining in the cloud, but still can't find it. Been waiting my whole life to finally get my chance. The only thing that keeps me going is the fact of knowing you're not finished with me yet. You say just a little faith goes a long way. Well, good thing, 'cause a little bit's all I've got. Chasing dreams on dead-end roads, holding on to this little bit of hope that I have left. It ain't much, but it's enough, I guess. Looking for that silver lining in the clouds, but still can't find it. Been waiting my whole life to finally get my chance. only thing that keeps me going is the fact of knowing you're not finished with